Alright, yo, what up, fight fans? Got a special guest with me today, Naota. I'm gonna let him give out his channel information so you guys can subscribe to his channel, man. He has a lot of boxing knowledge. Great channel, man. So I'm gonna let him give out his information.
Yeah, so this is Naota, Naota. I drop videos on pretty much everything in boxing. I do a lot, mostly like post-fight reviews. I'll do some pre-fight stuff, and I'll talk about some news. And I follow every weight class, 105 to heavyweight. Pretty much every championship fight, I'll give my take on for the most part, as long as I'm able to catch a stream, catch a video, what have you. And I mean, I also look to try and find top contenders, and also I also like to shed some light on topics that aren't overall being discussed, like certain fighters that aren't necessarily the big names, but they're either top contenders or they're about to become champions or about to challenge for a title, and I may shine some light on them in order to give them some of the shine that I feel like they deserve. These guys put their lives on the line for our entertainment consistently, and I think all of them deserve a fair amount of attention.
So we gonna get right into the two hot topics, man. And you know what they are: Roman Chocolito Gonzalez, Mayweather Pacquiao debate, and we're gonna talk about Triple G later on. But let's get into it. You mentioned that Roman Chocolito Gonzalez should be ahead of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Now, when you brought this up, I gotta admit, I thought you was gonna get bodied. I thought you was gonna get bodied in that debate, but I thought you won a debate and you held your own. So, kind of tell the viewers why you think Roman Chocolito Gonzalez should be higher on the pound for pound than Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And I try to play a devil's advocate for Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, with Floyd Mayweather, a big part of it is a lot of it has to do with retirement. He's saying that he's retired, so I'm taking that into account. I'm taking him at his word with regard to retirement. So that's a big part of the reason why I have Gonzalez over him, by virtue of his, basically saying that he's not going to be fighting anymore. Along with that, there's a few other fighters that Floyd could have and ideally should be fighting. Somebody like a Kell Brook, for instance, that he hasn't necessarily, but it's based primarily on taking him at his word as he's retiring. I've always given Floyd his credit, and I think very highly of his skills and what he's achieved in the sport. Matter of fact, Roman Gonzalez does too. He even tweeted before his fight with Arroyo recently that he wanted to see Mayweather there ringside. He said it'd be an honor for him, so he recognizes the talent too. With regards to Pacquiao, it basically has more to do with regard to what have you done lately. Of course, Pacquiao's done some pretty good things lately, mainly, the Bradley win. Although it was a repeat win over a fighter he already defeated once, and some say twice. And some say twice dominantly, too. But otherwise, he did lose to Floyd Mayweather, so that harms him in that regard. You can't necessarily say that you're the best if you can't even necessarily dominate your own division, which Pacquiao hasn't. Clearly that would have been Floyd's job. Floyd would have to take that spot. And in spite of the fact that Pacquiao's moved up a number of weight classes, he's been at welterweight for a number of years now. He even, fought at light middleweight, of course, or light middleweight-ish, 150. And, the loss to Mayweather and the knockout loss to Marquez just kind of harms him in general. Of course, he didn't get a chance to avenge the knockout loss to Marquez. I think they probably could have made it worth Marquez's while to get him back in there. I know he was demanding crazy money, but hey, when you knock out the king, sometimes it's worth the demand, in my opinion. So,
let me ask you this question:
that's a big part of it.
If Floyd Mayweather wasn't retired, what fighters did Roman Chocolito beat that you would put him above Floyd Mayweather if you compare the resumes?
That's a really tough one. But with regard to just even with or without Floyd, Roman Gonzalez has beaten a number of fighters who either were accomplished in the past tense, were accomplished in the present tense.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know about his resume. He has a stellar resume. So if you can kind of.
Yeah, I'll run it down right now. First of all, there's the very first fighter he beat for his first world title, the WBA world minimum weight title, Yutaka Nida. Yutaka Nida was basically a living legend at the time that he fought Roman Gonzalez.
Okay.
He was a fighter who had been a reigning champion for upwards of 4 years at that time, made a number of defenses, and he was the top fighter in the division. He was rated even above Ivan Calderon for most of that time. It was him and Calderon going neck and neck, and a lot of people may remember Ivan Calderon because he was a guy that broke into the top 10 pound for pound himself. Both Nida and Calderon did. But Calderon especially did because he wound up moving up to 108 and winning a title there. Of course, eventually he lost to Giovanni Segura, but I mean, that's Calderon. But the whole thing is for Yuntaka Nida to have been that accomplished and for Roman Gonzalez to go in there and knock him out in 4 rounds.
Oh, wow.
And not even make it competitive. Gonzalez won every round before he knocked him out. So that's a big part of it. One of his early defenses was against a fighter by the name of Katsunari Takayama.
Mm-hmm.
He defeated Takayama by a dominant 12-round unanimous decision, won almost every round on every card. And Takayama eventually went on to, after that, become the unified minimum weight champion. So he actually even was before that. He was a champion before that. He was challenging Gonzalez to that same championship because Takayama had previously not lost to Nida, a split decision. And he went on to fight Gonzalez. Gonzalez cleanly defeated him. And even after that, he went on to become a champion again and then become a unified champion. So that's a big part of it too. You know, you don't see too many elite fighters beat a guy and then that guy goes on to become great themselves. You know, a lot of times they'll reach a certain level and then, you know, they'll just teeter off in
they'll kind of fall off
of their career.
Yeah, they'll kind of fall off.
Victor Ortiz was riding high and then boom, he lost to Floyd Mayweather and Victor Ortiz is barely now trying to get back into any kind of the swing of things. But after Mayweather, you know, it was a precipitous fall for him. As well as Katsunari Takayama, there was also, let me remember here, it was Manuel Vargas became a champion after Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez defeated him. And then Francisco Rodriguez Jr. is another fighter who Gonzalez defeated at 112. Rodriguez Jr. then dropped down to 105, unified titles, and defeated the guy I previously mentioned, Takayama, in order to unify titles. That was actually a fight of the year candidate.
So he beat a unified champion.
Yeah, well, he's beaten 3 of them. So Francisco Rodriguez Jr.,
okay, wow,
Katsunari Takayama, and Juan Francisco Estrada is currently the unified flyweight champion. So he's defeated 3 fighters that were unified champions, or that would become unified champions. Rodriguez and Takayama aren't anymore, but Estrada still is. Now that leads me to the next guy, Akira Yagashi, who he defeated to win his current title against the WBC flyweight title, as well as the lineal, you know, Ring Magazine lineal, you know, the man title, you know, basically the flyweight champion of the world title. He defeated Yagashi handily, busted him up, beat him down, knocked him out, and I mean it was nearly competitive. I mean Yagashi made it competitive in terms of the fact that he fought hard every round, but otherwise he was getting dominated. He was getting busted up badly. He got dropped down. He got dropped twice in the 3rd and the 9th. Got stopped in the 9th. And Yagashi was a fighter who had been a world champion at 105 previously. Had jumped up to 112, obviously won that title there. And then after Gonzalez beat him, dropped to 108 pounds, and he is currently the IBF light flyweight champion. So this is another fighter who was a champion before Gonzalez got to him, became a champion after Gonzalez got to him. So he's another guy that he caught him not necessarily just on the upswing, but he caused his downswing and then had him go back up. You know, Gonzalez went in there and beat a fighter who already had a strong legacy behind him and is continuing to even build that legacy. To me, that's akin to like Ward, for instance, with Carl Froch. He defeated Carl Froch. Froch went on to knock out Lucien Bute. So,
see, I don't want to thank you for schooling me because I had no idea Roman Chocolatito defeated all those unified champions. And I'm sure a lot of my subscribers, they're going to get a lot of boxing knowledge, man. You just dropped right now, man.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other guys too. Manuel Vargas became a champion afterwards. Ramon Garcia Hirales became a 108 pound world champion afterwards. His other 2 recent opponents, Edgar Sosa and Brian Valoria, were probably the 2 best 108 pounders of like 2008. Well, with Valoria, you can even go back further, like 2004, but like 2007 to 2011. You know, the 2 of them were the men. basically Valoria was on his way to getting to HBO airwaves until he got upset by Omar Nino Romero, who wound up getting called a no contest in their rematch of their fight because he tested positive, I think, for amphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he was on that shit, obviously, when he fought Valoria.
Yeah, he was on that
And then
juice.
Edgar Sosa fought him and upset Valoria too. So that kind of knocked Valoria out of the running for becoming an HBO star. But even still, Valoria would go on to become a champion again, and then he would go on to become a world champion and a unified champion at 112. Of course, Juan Francisco Estrada wound up defeating Valoria before Gonzalez got to him.
Mm-hmm.
But where Estrada failed to stop Valoria, even though he cleanly outboxed him and won a clear decision over him, even though it's officially a split decision, anybody watches that fight, they'll see Estrada pretty much, school him.
Yeah, he schooled him.
With Valoria, against Gonzalez, that was still a dangerous fight for Gonzalez. He's still a huge puncher, a guy that can knock you out at any time. If you watch Valoria's fight with Ulysses Solis, you'll see that in spades. Ulysses Solis was a guy that was a multi-time world champion as well. And Solis and Valoria was just a brutal fight with Valoria basically one-shotting Solis in, I think it was the 11th round, and knocking Solis out, with the fight pretty much still on the line. As well as the fact that a lot of people that didn't necessarily see it live don't realize that the fight between Roman Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada was actually the co-feature for Brian Valoria's unification against Hernan Tyson Marquez.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate plan was that Roman Gonzalez was fighting, a guy that was, a tough contender, but a stay busy, which is what Estrada was supposed to be. That's what he was perceived to be anyway. And then he would win and then move up to 112 because he was a 108-pound champ at the time. He would win and move up to 112 in order to fight the winner of the unification. Valoria wound up winning the unification fight against Marquez, and a fight of the year candidate. He knocked him and Marquez hurt each other multiple times. He knocked out Marquez, and then Estrada wound up getting to Valoria before Gonzalez did. Estrada beat Valoria, obviously. Gonzalez was still, Valoria was still a top flight opponent for Gonzalez at the time, and Gonzalez stopped Valoria where everybody else failed to. Valoria had never been knocked down, amateur or pro. Gonzalez knocked him down. Gonzalez knocked him out, and that's a big part of it. And then Edgar Sosa, of course, Edgar Sosa had previously defeated Brian Valoria. He was a fighter who defended his title when he was a 108-pound world champion. I believe he defended it 10 or 11 times within the span of 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You rarely see fighters that are that active, where they're fighting 4 or 5 times a year. And he was one of those rare guys that actually did that. His title reign at 108 actually didn't even come to an end until he fought Rodel Mayol, who essentially that fight should have been called a no contest because the thing that initially hurt Edgar Sosa and led to his being stopped was a headbutt, clash of heads from Rodel Mayol. Edgar Sosa wasn't given any time to recover after that, and Rodel Mayol basically finished him off. He finished off a hurt opponent from a head clash. So even still, Rodel Mayol wasn't a bad fighter himself. He was another guy that gave Ivan Calderon a lot of problems when the two of them fought.
So you definitely make a great case as to why Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez should be ranked ahead of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Even though I would say Pacquiao has some great wins and Floyd Mayweather, Chocolatito has a stellar resume, man. Like you just broke that down. He has a great resume because you told me a lot of things I didn't even know about the resume because I don't follow the smaller weight divisions like that. So you make a great case.
And seeing it's no knock on Floyd, Manny, anybody else, Andre Ward, Golovkin, Kovalev, anybody else.
Yeah, it's just that a lot of people they don't know about Chocolatito. They don't know about him.
Yeah, exactly. All these guys are great fighters, and to nitpick 1 or 2 spots, unfortunately, you have to kind of look real critically at each and every single one. You have to take everything into account, and it all becomes on the table, no holds barred. So that's pretty much just what it is. Gonzalez is dominating, his third weight class. He dominated 105 pounds. 108 pounds, he didn't get quite a chance to dominate because basically Donny Nietes never came to the table and actually fought him. Nietes now, it looks like, may be trying to come to the U.S. and fight either Gonzalez or Estrada, which is a good thing. Now, that there's more money in the division, more money in the fights. But otherwise, Gonzalez dominated 105. He's pretty much dominated 112 now, outside of Ruan Rong, who, arguably got a robbery decision over Arroyo. He defeated Arroyo cleanly, knocked out Edgar Sosa, knocked out Valoria, two basically legends at the lower weights, and knocked out Yagashi, another guy who's a top flight lower weight guy, one of the best fighters at those weights over the past decade plus. And Estrada, he's already technically defeated them. Estrada's still a rival of his, but all great fighters have their rivals, and that's not a knock on him either. And then the only other real knock that you could have on him in theory, he's only had two close fights in his entire career. He's dominated everybody, every single other fighter. Yeah, to me, the way Gonzalez doing that is similar to what Pacquiao did in his prime, what Floyd has done in his prime, what Ward has done up until the Barrera fight, where they're dominating guys and almost not even losing a round, almost not even losing a second of a round.
Well, to me, I think Pacquiao's biggest win was against Margarito, and Floyd was against Corrales. Because Floyd, he was an underdog when he fought Corrales. He went into that fight as an underdog. And when Pacquiao fought Margarito, he was going all the way up to 154. I thought that was a huge feat. So who do you think was Roman Gonzalez's biggest win, in your opinion?
I would say Estrada, based off of what they've done since Estrada, and also just the skill set. The skill set has a lot to do with it. Estrada's skill set is unbelievable. A lot of people will compare him to Juan Manuel Marquez. Honestly, I think he's even better than Marquez. I think his front foot game, his ability to cut off the ring and be offensive, is better than Marquez. Marquez always had trouble when you started backing up against him, but because Marquez wanted to be the guy that was counterpunching you, stepping back, pivoting, dancing around the ring. With Estrada, he could do it all. He could fight going backwards. He could fight coming forwards. Rafael Marquez, Juan Manuel's brother, was actually a really good offensive fighter. He was better offensively. Juan Manuel was better defensively. To me, Estrada pretty much splits the difference and takes the best of both worlds. And he's able to fight you off the front foot, pressure you, and he's able to cleanly outbox you off the back foot if he wants to, which he's done a couple of times. He basically did that to Valoria. The reason why that fight wasn't as dramatic as like Valoria versus because Estrada basically he's a little bit more safety first, a little bit more technical, and that showed there. It showed in his fight with Gilbert Alvarez, who was a guy that's a very tall, explosive puncher, and he did the same thing to him. Outboxed Milan Melindo. He's fighting all these guys. He's fought all these guys in their hometowns and everything, and his win over Giovanni Segura. Giovanni Segura is the guy that I mentioned before, was the first man to defeat Ivan Calderon, which was a fight of the year at the time, a big-time upset. A lot of people thought Calderon was just too slick, too quick for him to touch, and Segura bodybagged him, knocked him out twice, and that was basically the end of Calderon's career.
Oh, wow.
Segura went in there with Estrada, and it was no contest. Estrada handed him his ass from round 1 through round 9, and Estrada even fought Tyson Marquez, and he dropped Tyson Marquez 7 times.
Wow, 7 times. Wow.
Yeah, he dropped Tyson Marquez 7 times before stopping him in, what was that, the 9th or the 11th, somewhere around there.
That's an ass whooping.
And the thing is, he's not a guy looking for the knockout. Those knockdowns came because he's just a skilled technical fighter. And so for Gonzalez to beat that level of technical ability just places him extremely highly, in my opinion.
So before I let you go, we're going to switch gears and talk about Gennady Golovkin. He's been getting a lot of criticism. A lot of fans are saying they're tired of seeing him fight bums. But I'm looking at this, and a lot of guys are ducking Gennady Golovkin, in my opinion. You got Canelo Alvarez, who don't want to fight him. You had Miguel Cotto. You got Billy Joe Saunders. You got Floyd Mayweather, whom Golovkin said he would go down to 154 to fight. You got a lot of guys who he can't even get in the ring with. So what's your opinion on it? Do you think he's just fighting a lot of bums because he has no choice or he want to? What's your opinion, man? What's your take on it?
Well, it's double-sided. With Golovkin, I think he's to a certain degree a victim of his own success. I'd say the same for Gonzalez and Floyd, actually, too. I think to a certain extent they were both victims of their own success. Let me hit on this real quick with regard to Gonzalez too. I think a lot of the reason why Gonzalez gets a lot of criticism is because people didn't get a chance to see him rise as a prospect.
Yeah, they don't know him. Yeah, that's what it is.
To elite, it's like all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, like this guy's a pound for pound. You know what I mean? It's like he came for a lot of people, he came out of nowhere. To a certain degree, that's actually true with Golovkin too.
Mm-hmm.
He was already a world champion before he ever made it to the United States HBO airwaves and everything. His initial fight was against Grzegorz Proksa, which is really an underrated win. That guy was a damn tough fighter. Golovkin beat him like it wasn't anything. But the main problem is the guys that Golovkin's beat since Proksa have been guys that have either been defeated, dismantled, or exposed otherwise already. And so that plays a heavy role. So even though Golovkin's able to destroy these guys more conclusively and concretely than somebody like a Felix Sturm or like an Arthur Abraham or Sergio Martinez, an old Sergio Martinez, an idiot Sergio Martinez, or Miguel Cotto were able to, it still hurts him in the grand scheme of things because the idea is that a lot of people just don't think that these guys can compete with him. I think one of the big things that hurts him at the moment as well is the fact that Curtis Stevens was thought to be, the guy that he's going to test Golovkin's chin. Golovkin's chin pretty much passed with flying colors for the most part. Albeit, I would a lot of those shots. I didn't think Stevens ever uncorked a real clean one on him. So it's entirely possible that he could still be hurt by a big puncher like Danny Jacobs, for instance. But I mean, otherwise, even Stevens. Stevens was previously defeated by
but in
Jesse Brinkley.
In your opinion, do you think it's a case where guys just don't want to fight him, or he's seeking out low tier opponents?
Well, I think it's a combination. It's a combination.
You think it's both? Oh wow. I don't think he's seeking out bums. I mean, that's just my opinion, but go ahead.
I think guys don't want to fight him, but he's also not making it worth their while to fight him. He's not making it easy for them to fight him. He's not, the 154 to 168 thing is a big detriment to him. Regardless of how long ago it was, when you say something like that, people hold you to your word.
Yeah, a lot of people bring that up when he mentioned. Well, he said if the money makes sense, he said he would fight anyone from 154 to was it 168 or 175?
I remember 168.
Yeah, when he said he'd fight anyone from 154 to 168. So
yeah,
it depends on how big the name is.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is as far as I'm concerned, I mean he should really be trying to call these guys bluffs. Lara wants to talk a bunch of shit. Call his bluff. Send him a legitimate offer. Send Daniel Jacobs a legitimate offer. Send Billy Joe Saunders a legitimate offer. If they all refuse, then all you can do is say, well, hey, they didn't want to fight me. Say screw it. Sometimes you got to go out of your comfort zone, out of your way in order to get those fights made. Canelo wants to fight at 155 pounds. Say like, yeah, I'll fight you at 155 pounds. Maybe do like a test weight cut and show yourself, like live stream it. Put it on Periscope or something. Weigh in at 155 pounds just for the fuck of it. Be like, yeah, I'm ready for you, Canelo. You know what I mean? You could just rehydrate right afterwards anyway.
See, we could disagree and disagree. We could disagree respectfully. That's what I respect about you. I disagree with you on that sense. I don't think he's seeking out these bum fights. I just think he has to make a living. He got to get paid, and you're giving him $2 million to fight a dominant weight. Hey, he gonna make the money. At the end of the day, he got a wife and kids to feed. I just think it's a sense of guys not wanting to fight him. That's what I think. But we can respectfully disagree.
That's certainly true. And see, that's certainly true. But at the same time, I mean, it's one of those things where I think he kind of harms his own case when you have that idea out there that he'll fight anybody.
Yeah, that comment he made.
Whatever weight class.
Yeah, when he made that comment.
And then when it comes to like the 168 question, then it becomes a whole different thing. Like I mean, even with Gilberto Ramirez, they said that he's not a big enough name, but Dominic Wade is. I mean. Last I checked, Ramirez just defeated Arthur Abraham more cleanly than anybody since Andre Ward. The only other guy to dominate Abraham that way was Ward. So I mean, Ramirez is putting himself in pretty rarefied air in terms of that. Even though it was an older Abraham, but still, I mean, Ramirez still did the job. He went in there, got it done, and he's a tough, young, undefeated fighter in his prime, and the perception is that Golovkin is fighting guys either past their prime, guys who have been exposed already. Ramirez hasn't been exposed, so go expose him. Go expose him, go expose DeGale, go expose. If he was to move up to 168, even though that's not his weight class, destroy all this, clean out that division, or clean it out halfway and have the other half duck him. And then he decides to say, well, screw it, I'm going to go back to 160 the same way Manny did when he moved up, then dropped down to 147 the same way Floyd did when he moved up, dropped back down. He could just move up, drop back down if he so chooses to. If he's really not a big middleweight, he can do it. And then at that point, anybody and everybody is basically at the will of his demand. And then at that point, also, he's the money man. Then at that point, his risk to reward ratio is makes it more so that fighters are more willing to fight him, because now it's not like his opponents are going to get chump change to fight him and get knocked out. Now they're at least going to get paid heavily. Dominic Wade made $500,000 for that fight, and Dominic Wade had never made anything close to that since. So at least now, when it's him and another name, there's the potential for the big money to be there in order to make the risk worth their while.
Well, that's some good points. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I got to tell you, the fans, they're going to show you a lot of love for the Roman Chocolito Gonzalez points you made. but the Triple G fans, I got to tell you, they're going to be on your case, bro. They're going to be on you. But it was a good discussion, and I appreciate you coming on my channel, man, doing the collab, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good talking.
And I'm going to put your link.
Boxing.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said, I love talking boxing, top to bottom, man. It's all good to me. If there's a fight on, I'm watching it. If there's a fight in the park, I'm watching it. I'm gonna sit down and peep what's going on.
Yeah, I will say I'm not gonna debate you because you got way more boxing knowledge than me, so I'm staying away from a debate with you. But I'm gonna put your link in the description box, so you guys make sure you subscribe to his channel, man. Dude got a lot of boxing knowledge, a lot of it. So with that said, we gonna wrap it up, and I'm out. Peace.
Peace.